looking at our industry and looking at sort of the addressable conversation that we've had over the years, where do you think, the current situation will bring our industry, perhaps create change in our industry? Where might things go?
Yeah, I think that the capability of addressability will follow the needs of the brand, right? And if you just think of our everyday lives right now, and then kind of try to project a few months out, even in a world where it's not a COVID environment, you could imagine that whether it's restaurants and curbside to go or home delivery, or whether it's theatrical with the release window moving from theaters to on demand, or whether it's banking and using online tools versus going into the retail locations themselves. You can imagine that could continue. And the need for personalization on direct-to-consumer relationships from brands will just heighten, and therefore the capabilities that come out of products like addressability and the ability to precision target and frequency manage will become more relevant for clients as they try to personalize the messages to their current customers and also their prospects.
I want to talk now about audience versus context and the shift from contextual targeting to audience-based. I wanted to ask your thoughts about that, about the whole balance. There's not one formula, I assume, but what are your thoughts about the balance between audience versus contextual targeting?
I think both are important, and both are important at all stages of kind of the customer journey. What will never change is the demand and desire and need for really good, high quality content and storytelling and creative, and contextual targeting as a proxy to reach audiences will continue. Audience-based targeting and those audience products also will continue. Right now, probably they have more importance than ever before for the topics we just discussed around personalization, the need to address specific audiences at a time when people are working, studying, and living from home. If you think about the capabilities of addressable advertising in the industry, they've grown pretty significantly over the last few years. Andy, you've been covering this space for a long time. In the beginning, we'd be talking about linear addressable advertising on DirecTV. But now that's been extended to Altice and Frontier, and we have that relationship with Dish in the political space. We've been extending our audience capabilities into our Warner Media family through their incredible Audience Now product. Courageous and Ignite, which produce incredible branded content, storytelling for brands, are now using the capability to extend branded content messages to specific audiences. In this environment with COVID, I believe we'll start to use those production capabilities for brands just to message directly to consumers during this period of time. And so there's just more and more opportunity around audience-based targeting, and there's more need for it than ever before.
Now data is more important than ever. Tell us how brands are using data that's sort of instructive to what's going on now and what might be developing over the next few months.
Yeah, right now I'm seeing a shift, especially in certain categories, from kind of a hard sell to more of a reassurance. And I'll give you an example. I can't give the brand away, but it's in the finance category. They're very much interested in reaching their current customers, to assure them about their relationship, to inform them about the tools that they have available to them to do online banking so they don't have to go into the retail locations themselves. And you can imagine this bank, like all banks and institutions, usually have pretty good first-party data. So we're able to connect their first-party data against our customer base, our subscribers and devices, and be able to message to them directly. So that's an example of a pivot in message, and also a pivot in how they're targeting.
And finally, JB, I wanted to ask you how you communicate with your clients, with who are primarily the buy side in your space. what are you hearing from them? What's that conversation like? What do you know, what's going on with the buy side from your point of view?
Well, first of all, Andy, we're approaching everything from a position of compassion. We understand what's going on in the environment today, but we're also coming to them with what we believe are very thoughtful solutions around the ability to precision target, the ability to frequency manage at a time when, you know, there are huge swaths of the population that are watching a lot more TV in all of its forms, but watching fewer networks. And that's exasperating the excessive frequency issues. So we have great frequency management tools through our addressable products. But the point is, we're coming with very thoughtful solutions. We're approaching it from maybe more of a thought leadership perspective. We're trying to do more white papers and pieces and providing more kind of best practices during this period of time.
I wanted to ask what sort of the mix is now. We've you know, for so long we've been talking about performance and attribution and a lot of action in that area. How important is performance versus reach during this time, would you say?
You know, I think that it depends on the product and service. You know, I will tell you that there are some brands that are looking at this period of time as an ability to do some share shifting when their competitors are not in the space. But no matter what, you know, the customer journey, the typical customer journey has been altered. And I am seeing a shift more in reach and a shift more in maybe assurance against current customers and providing more philanthropic messages more so than hard selling performance, to be honest.
And final thoughts, JB, about the situation and maybe a message you'd like to share with your colleagues who are working through this project now, and a lot of young people who haven't been through something like this before. What would you like to tell them?
Yeah, you know, I would say the most important thing is to shore up your house, whatever that house looks like. It could be, you know, younger folks working from home by themselves. It could be a single parent trying to homeschool their child. It could be a family with resources. Whatever it is, we're all going through an adjustment, and we have to figure out the best way to have compassion for each other, create space for each other, so that we can focus on work. But the very first priority is to shore up our house and our family, and to make sure that our loved ones are safe, and provide that space to do the work.